Injury prevention science has made enormous strides in team sports like football, basketball, and soccer. Fields with vast budgets, real-time biomechanical tracking, and millions of data points per athlete per season. Naturally, runners have looked to these sports for insight. If machine learning can predict a hamstring tear in a sprinter or monitor load to reduce ACL ruptures in soccer players, surely the same principles can be applied to running, right? Yes and no. While certain lessons from team sports injury science translate to running, others fail entirely. The reason is simple. The injury mechanisms, training rhythms, and stress profiles in running are fundamentally different. Misapplying models developed for one environment into another may not just be unhelpful, it could actually mislead runners about what truly keeps them safe. The biggest advantage team sports have is real-time, granular data. Athletes wear GPS units, force plates track jump load, accelerometers capture deceleration strain, and medical teams log every movement. These environments produce rich feedback loops. An athlete's workload, sleep, performance, and pain are all tracked continuously, often by a team of specialists. From this, researchers can build fairly accurate risk models. Acute to chronic workload ratios, for example, gained traction in football and rugby because spikes in load often led to predictable injuries. But runners operate in a different ecosystem. They train alone, often without sensors, and rely on self-reported data. There are no tackles, no cuts or lateral loads, no reactive drills. The forces are repetitive, not chaotic. Injuries don't come from single collisions, but from tissue stress that exceeds capacity over time, often quietly, with little warning. What runners deal with are overuse injuries, stress reactions, and cumulative fatigue. In this world, workload modeling is much trickier. Team sport models assume variation: games, sprints, rest days, strength sessions. Running is far more monotonous, similar stride mechanics repeated thousands of times per session. This makes small biomechanical flaws or fatigue-related compensations far more dangerous. Where team athletes might sprain an ankle from a single high-speed pivot, runners develop tendinopathies or stress fractures from 10,000 imperfect foot strikes. The risks are slower building but more stubborn. This also means that certain predictive metrics used in team sports, like ACWR, acute to chronic workload ratio, may be misleading when applied to runners. ACWR assumes that load can be defined as a clean, quantifiable number, distance, time, etc., and that the body's response is consistent. But in running, a 5-mile run on flat ground isn't the same as a 5-mile run on hills, or one done while stressed, sleep-deprived, or wearing different shoes. Biomechanical load may shift massively, even if distance doesn't. That's why blindly applying these models without context can create false confidence or unjustified fear. Still, runners can learn a few powerful lessons from team sports injury research. Chief among them, load matters, but how you recover matters more. Just like in elite sports, runners who monitor their sleep, heart rate variability, soreness, and mood consistently tend to avoid breakdowns. They recognize early signals: fatigue that lasts too long, pace degradation, mood swings, and adjust. Recovery is not a passive state. It's a measurable, trainable part of injury prevention. Another takeaway: consistency is protective. In both team and individual sports, injury risk spikes most when athletes suddenly change their routine, whether it's intensity, frequency, or volume. A sudden switch in surfaces, a spontaneous jump in mileage, or a shift to new footwear can override the body's adaptation window. Elite teams go to great lengths to ramp up new stimuli slowly. Runners should, too. But the key warning is this: running injury science must evolve on its own terms. Borrowing models from other sports without accounting for running's unique stress profile can lead to poor decisions. Tech platforms, wearables, and apps must move beyond importing formulas from football or rugby and instead capture what matters in running: gait changes, accumulated fatigue, footwear effects, stride variability, and psychological state. Ultimately, what runners need is not a translation of team sport algorithms, but a purpose-built framework for their sport, one that respects the deceptively simple yet high-risk nature of distance running. Until then, runners should be cautious of adopting tools built for athletes whose injuries come from collisions and chaos. For runners, injury is quiet until it isn't, and preventing it requires a science that listens to the body one step at a time.